Hi friends, today I want to share with you one of the most amazing and touching stories of my life. Have you ever wondered what is behind the words, "I love you"? What if your partner is hiding dark secrets from their past? In this video, I will talk about how I accidentally found out about my husband's past, his secrets that changed our relationship and opened my eyes to many things. It's not funny anymore! Ruslan indignantly threw the envelope on the table. I haven't been laughing for a long time, Olya muttered, glancing at the sender's address. Olya, I hope you realize that this is just another stupid thing? Ruslan asked. I won't be as shocked as I was the first time, of course, Olya said, but every time I think, what if it's not stupid? Olya, don't start this conversation. Ruslan put his palms out in front of him. I've always been faithful to you, and what happened before our marriage shouldn't concern you. Ruslan, faithfulness is a stretch, and it's good that all the facts, so to speak, have been disproved. And as for your past, Olya pressed her lips together. I wouldn't talk about it if it didn't intrude so intrusively into our lives. And besides, what past? Just don't. Ruslan wagged his finger. When you married me, I was 34 years old, and I didn't say I was chaste. Neither did you, by the way. So we won't talk about that. Ruslan, your accomplishments pale in comparison to Casanova's, but I wouldn't even think of looking into your victories. But the results. And she nodded at the envelope. Ruslan opened the letter, ran his eyes over the lines. I don't even know her, Olya looked over his arm. Again, your fidelity is in question, she said, pointing to the text. A boy of 5, and we've been married for 10. Olya, how many times can you say it? Exclaimed Ruslan. It's just mysticism. The court doesn't deal with mysticism, but a lawsuit to determine paternity is as real as it gets. Enough already, Ruslan shrieked. You don't tell me that. You tell those thousands of women who supposedly had children by you. Not 1,000, Ruslan muttered. You know, I've lost count in 3.5 years. Olya puffed and turned away. Olya, let's not do this, shall we? Ruslan asked. We said it was only for the money. Well, I've been seen a couple of times among the rich and famous, and they just go for luck. That is, as long as luck is on your side. Olya snorted. But when luck changes your side, our lives will undergo fatal changes. Olya, I told you about fidelity, and what happened before you is none of your business. Now calm down yourself and don't get me worked up. Ruslan, don't you realize that every such letter can be a confirmation of your infidelity? Do you realize that I'm living like a powder keg? I don't have any nerves left. And you think it's easy for me? Ruslan shrieked. I can't work properly because of these endless courts, so even a big client does not come to me. After the 10th lawsuit, everything went to the press, and now society is paying more attention to me. If I were a singer or an artist, then it would be okay, but this way only to my detriment. If you were a bit more prudent in your lifestyle, Olya started an old conversation. Oh, don't, Ruslan cut her off. When you're young, you know, everyone is characterized by lovey-doveyness. But not everyone has a queue of alimony seekers. Olya, but none of my children were there, Ruslan objected. How many were there? The habit of calling small troubles problems leads to the fact that really serious problems knock you out of the rut and make you put your hands down. After what had started between Olya and Ruslan, all their past difficulties seemed small and insignificant. Ruslan, what does it mean? Olya shouted. You swear your love and fidelity to me, and then some woman claims she has a child with you. Read the documents, Ruslan shouted back. Her son is 12 years old. If that was the case, it was before we met. And where are the guarantees that you haven't continued your relationship with her all this time? There are no such guarantees. Olya, I will never. I love you, Ruslan shouted, trying to calm down and reassure his wife. Why did she file a lawsuit to recognize paternity only now? Olya didn't want to calm down. Probably because you used to give her money for the child, and now you stopped because we had a daughter. I didn't give anyone anything. Ruslan denied it, and I don't know this woman. So she made up that she had a child with you? She took the phone book, poked her finger in and chose the father, right? Maybe she did. How do I know what's in that woman's head? Ruslan, no woman in her right mind would attribute paternity to a man she had nothing to do with. Who told you she was in her right mind? Ruslan threw. So you're already accusing her of everything, and you say you don't know. I really don't know, but if she's suing someone she doesn't know, she's not sane. And maybe it's you who is abnormal, Olga asked. Maybe you don't remember her because you were young and wild. And even if she was, shouted Ruslan, it's not forbidden by law. So much for the result. Bell! At the trial, Ruslan remembered the plaintiff. He had met her once a long time ago, but it was only a month, and then they parted on mutual terms. To a fair question, why did you keep silent before? The plaintiff replied, financial difficulties, the boy needs. Moreover, you have something to share. Mercantilism is evident, but the court decision was not in favor of the plaintiff. I told you, it's not my child. I had a fling with that woman, and she left me on her own. And now she found out that I'm earning well, so she decided to make me a milk bull. But justice prevailed, so I apologize, but I don't feel guilty. Olya listened to her husband's tirade and changed her anger into mercy. Rusik, I was just very scared, she said. And if the child was yours, money for child support is not a pity, but you would want to get acquainted with him to communicate. And we have a little girl. Well, I got jealous, I guess. Honey, I love you and Ninochka more than anything in the world, and as far as I know, I have no children besides my little princess. I didn't like that as far as I know, said Olya. Well, my youth was fun. Ruslan smiled. But if something does come out, I won't stop loving you. No sooner had the frayed nerves settled down than the second lawsuit came. Is this a continuation of the old story? Olya shrieked. Or you don't know the plaintiff either. I know the plaintiff, Ruslan didn't deny it. She and I even dated for almost a year. Only we broke up 3 years before the child was born, the paternity of which she attributes to me. And maybe you came for tea for old time's sake? Olya didn't stop. Even if I did, Ruslan said, the boy was born 2.5 years after we met you. Ruslan paused for a moment to let Olya realize what she had heard, and then he added, stop going crazy. I'm sorry, Olya said, confused. I just haven't gotten over the last trial yet. And that child was not Ruslan's. And then the lawsuits came one after another. Why did they go off the rails? Ruslan exclaimed, receiving another summons. They'd recognize me in court. I'm more worried about something else, Olya said unhappily. And what's that? A new lawsuit. She held out a piece of paper. The child is 2 years old. But I don't know this woman. And she knows you if she thinks you're the father of her daughter. Olga, it can't be. It just can't. I swear to you, I'll definitely go to that court, Olya said. And if it turns out that it's your child, I'll immediately file for divorce. It's not Ruslan's child, but the plaintiff got it mixed up. I was in a nightclub, and it was dark. I was just looking for a picture. I thought it was him, justified the plaintiff. You should be more careful, said the judge, in every sense. And the lawsuits kept coming and coming. It came to the point that Ruslan began to manage his firm by phone between court sessions. So the press was also interested in what kind of a father of many children, which so far happy fate has passed. And what epithets were awarded to him on the pages of newspapers. Naughty youth does not allow to return home from the court. It's like walking through a minefield, and if it were him, the world record would be in his pocket. The fuss was not good for the marriage and work. Olya evicted Ruslan to a separate room until this carnival of illegitimate children was over. Ruslan didn't even argue. He was tired. How can I bear it when almost all the women in town accuse me of making them a child and running away? He complained to a friend on the phone. I already have such a collection of court decisions that it's scary. It will be scary if you will be the father according to them, laughed friend. But for now it's just waste paper. And with work in general, there was a hell of a lot going on. Ruslan went out to a government tender with a winning bid, and he was thrown off the list of bidders. And they chose the wording, as a firm with an unstable reputation, and when asked directly they said, you've had too much litigation. But I have never been found guilty, so to speak, Ruslan objected, and we don't care. You stole or you were stolen from. The main thing is that something unpleasant was connected with you. New clients, as soon as they learned the director's name, refused to cooperate. Old clients closed annual contracts. Calls came in less and less. It's not bankruptcy yet, Ruslan told his wife. There are still people who care about price and quality, not nonsense, but profits have fallen so much that we have to save money. So we'll send Nina to the garden and I'll go to work, Olya decided. And you still asked why I did not take your last name. No questions. Ruslan waved his hands. I wish I didn't have to take yours. Ruslan, do you have any enemies? Olya suddenly asked. Like everyone else, the man answered confusedly. No, I mean the kind of people who care more about destroying you than their own lives. So I haven't done anything wrong. Ruslan smiled. Have you ever thought that such a number of lawsuits where you are not guilty of anything can't come from nothing? Olya asked coldly. I thought I was cursed, Ruslan replied, still smiling. But then he started to think. Olya, it's a good calculation, isn't it? He began to curl his fingers. My reputation is already gone, my business is going down the drain, and your nerves are always on edge. And the bottom line is, no money, no job, and you'll leave when you get tired of it all. An awareness of your adventures, Olya threw on. Oh, you little... Valera. Ruslan had a brother Valera. They started out together. Only Ruslan invested money in the firm, and Valera spent it on entertainment. In the end, Ruslan paid Valera his share and kicked him out of the firm. That's when he held a grudge, summarized Ruslan. I'm going to go to him now and shake the hell out of him. And you'll go to jail, Olya shook her head. Is Valera married? Yes, Ruslan answered, catching up with his wife's thought. Only his wife is scandalous, my mother told me. If my wife is wise and patient, she won't tolerate it. Ruslan took out an old notebook where he had written down the contacts of Valerie's friends and passions from the years before the marriage. It's a debt worth paying. Ruslan smiled and dialed the number. Lenochka, do you remember when you were dating Valerka? Do you remember? Great. Do you want revenge? Do you want revenge? Do you have kids? No father? What a pity. Are you sure it's not Valerkans? You're not sure? Do you want to be sure? Ruslan spent the whole night and the next day on the phone, preparing a mirror answer to his younger brother, and Olya finally calmed down. Ruslan had no children except their daughter, and Ruslan had always been only hers.